G'day everyone, it's me, the Anti-Theocrat, back with another one. Before I go into the main content, it's a quick sales pitch. It's the only one you're getting, so enjoy it. Below these videos I do attach all links to the information if there are links to be had. I also archive all of the information if that's possible. I also supply links to other platforms for my content and how to support me if you wish to do so. That'd be nice, but no requirement. That's it. That's my intro. That's my sales pitch. It's all I've got. It's all you're ever going to get. And now, on with the show. Sexist laws. It's good to live in a state where laws are being discussed in sexist terms. But here it is. New South Wales considers crackdown on dominating husbands. Yes, this is my state that I currently live in. Not that anywhere else in Australia is a hell of a lot better. I mean, I could be living in Victoria, which would be worse, but there's not many places better. To reduce the stubbornly high number of women. So this is something that is not being resolved by current funding or services. This is a stubbornly high number of women emotionally and financially abused by their husbands. Now, are there no circumstances under which women emotionally or financially abuse their husbands that this has to be described in these terms by their husbands? Couldn't it be by their partners? So we're looking at something that only happens to women and is not being fixed by any of the millions of dollars currently being poured into these the services that would cover this sort of thing. Good start, very good start. New South Wales is considering a fundamental change in the way marriages are policed. I don't think I want my marriage policed by the government. Will you just fuck off and leave me alone? By the way, I have actually, in my life, I've had two women use men as weapons against me in what can only be termed domestic abuse situations. One tried to have me beaten up at a pub because I was not being violent enough in bed. So some women want to be dominated. When is the government going to draw the line on what a person wants, on what they're getting, on what they're claiming is happening to them that may have been at their instigation, and actual abuse, which apparently only happens male on female in New South Wales. Pretty much anywhere really, but this is New South Wales. By the way, 2 doors up from me, the abuser is most certainly not the guys that she shacks up with. She chased the first one out, and by Christ, it's only about a week now since she was abusing the old woman who lived next door to her, out in the street offering to take the old woman and fight her in the street. Shit, fucking hell. But don't worry, it's only men that do these things. Her first partner was escorted to the property by the police to go and get his possessions and property to move out. And I tell you, she's with some weedy looking fella now who doesn't look like he hold his own ground. I have no doubt of who the abuser in that household is. Don't worry, New South Wales government. State Attorney Mark Speaksman has, under pressure from domestic violence advocates and the Labor opposition. Now, these domestic violence advocates, are they the same people who received $350 million from the federal government to deal with these situations that were going to massively increase when the cough started? And yet somehow we've got a stubbornly high number of women being emotionally and financially abused, and that's not changing with $350 million in their pocket. Something which, by the way, they got funded to provide for, even though they've provided no evidence that has ever happened. I've covered this twice. The 2 times that they showed that women were definitely being abused more. The first case was more Google searches about domestic violence. Not about services or anything. Searches about domestic violence. Now, I was also locked down. I was making an awful lot of videos at the time. I was searching domestic violence. I wasn't being abused. So how do they know this? If they actually had evidence that women were looking up domestic violence services, it should have registered on their websites. Their websites all have quick close buttons so that it deletes any evidence out of your computer that you were on the website. Hides it. It's gone. But Google searches don't have that option. At least not that I've ever noticed. So why would you not be able to show an increase in visits to your much safer websites if this Google searching correlated to actual abuse? You can't. You didn't. That's why you lied. The second time, they admitted to a decrease in the number of domestic violence cases, but the intensity of the cases had increased. That's right. The few people who were still doing it were worse than before the cough. The one case where there was an actual increase in people calling looking for help was Men's Line. Now, Men's Line is run by feminists. It is 100% feminist run. It has no interest in men. So they got an increase in calls to the service when the cough started. And what they did was, rather than look at this as victims calling for assistance, they reported to the government that they had an increase in perpetrators calling for assistance. That is not how they sell themselves to men. Well, I admit one of the TV ads that has come out since that does say, if you are the violator, call us. But the entire premise and name of the organisation suggests they are there to help men who are in crisis, not men who are violators. So, this fast tracking of the government getting into our relationships, based on the absolute fucking lying cunts who received $350 million from the federal government. And here in New South Wales, I believe it was $45 additional million from the state government. I did do a video on this. I have looked at those figures before, and I'm pretty sure that's where they are. And yeah, with $400 million in their pocket, they haven't managed to reduce the stubbornly high number of women being emotionally and financially abused. What the fuck are we funding? What the fuck are we funding? There was a decrease in the number of women looking for places in their homes, or whatever the fuck they call them, their secure lockups. They lock women away to keep them safe. Keep us safe, I think. But yes, we funded massively. Basically, we funded a massive advertising campaign telling us men are shit, that they're abusers. We funded them to go to Parliament and fucking make sure that they knew men were even more shit, so we could have more sexist legislation. On Tuesday, major Labor MPs. By the way, this is why I won't be voting Labor again in the foreseeable future. I am a traditional Labor voter from a Labor family. My father and mother, I believe, joined the Labor Party for a while. I voted Labor for most of my early voting years until this started happening. I have voted Green, and they are the only party worse than the Labor who I will definitely never vote for again. But at this point, I see no point in the future. I will vote Labor because of this crap. Labor MPs agreed to propose their own bill that would make it a crime to engage in a pattern of domination. I'm sorry, some women want to be dominated. Some people will try and get you, some women will try and get you into fights if you don't dominate them. And I bet that whichever way you took that, I would be to blame. including degrading, frightening, or controlling someone. Women never fucking do these things, do they? Women have never, ever done these things. Women never degrade anyone. It is fucking female behaviour to degrade people. It is certainly less male behaviour. Frightening or controlling someone. Yeah. Again, this is something that women do. One of my partners is management level, and one of the things that she hated about her last workplace was the bullying amongst the female staff. Frightening or controlling someone is entirely a female behaviour. Definitely fits with female behaviour. Cutting them off from friends. Oh, fucking hell. That is more female than male, that is. Oh, bloody hell, have you ever come across a jealous woman who won't let you see certain people? Oh, fucking hell, is that female behaviour. Relatives, doctors, or lawyers, all monitoring their day-to-day activities. Seriously, this could be a page out of my ex-girlfriend's playbook. I've had different variations on this through my life, and I've seen other guys go through this shit. So it could be the ex-girlfriend's playbook for every guy on the fucking planet. But this is about men, isn't it? The wording is designed to catch men who inflict psychological harm on women before their relationships descend into violence. Let's not ignore, shall we, that women instigate most of the violence in relationships by primarily doing these things. We could even say, maybe, if this is the behaviour that they're inflicting on men, then at some point that man may explode into violence. But we know there is more and more evidence all the time that women instigate the violence. Even if they're not the first to throw the punch, they know the punch will come because they push for it. A review by the New South Wales Coroner's Court found 99% of domestic homicides were preceded by some form of coerce or control. Yes, and I imagine that for men, that tallies out in suicides. I fucking know for sure that tallies out in suicides, because I've been there myself. I have been in that position where I got so fucking sick of a woman's behaviour that I thought it'd just be easier to fucking top myself. I have been there. But yes, this is just about catching men who might harm women. They don't even have to harm them anymore. You don't even have to hit them. All you have to do is have a disagreement over her going out and putting all the money into pokies every day and blowing your family budget. And you say, that's it, I can't let you near the money because we can't afford to buy food for the kids. And suddenly, you're going to be considered a potential violator. And you are going to be in the eye of the law. It won't be about the fact that the government allows gambling left, right and centre. It won't be about the fact that these women's services do nothing to help these women through these, issues that women have. It will be totally on your shoulders because you said, I have to keep the money safe. I have to feed the kids. We have to pay the rent. The new law would allow police to prosecute men for patterns of behaviour rather than individual assault. So it's no longer illegal. It's now illegal to have patterns of behaviour. Thoughts. Patterns of behaviour. What the fuck is a pattern of behaviour? What patterns of behaviour are we talking about? Right? Someone goes out gambling, blows all the money on the pokies machine, and your pattern of behaviour is to go, you've fucking blown the family budget again this week. and your behaviour becomes the problem. You may never, ever even think to assault that woman. But your behaviour, your pattern of behaviour, is now a fucking crime. It's quite a big change to go from an incident-based system of system to a course of conduct over time that involves power and control, feminist theory crap that does not fit with reality, and intimidation tactics, said Hayley Foster, the Chief Executive for Women's Safety New South Wales. Fucking feminists. I said it, didn't I? Right here was a fucking feminist theory came in, and there it is. This is an extremely feminist organisation. One extremely funded feminist organisation, which is one of the advocates for the change. The Legislative Forum will be a really important step. It will be an important fucking step only if it does not have a gendering, in which case we can bring this shit on women, and then you'll take a fucking back step, won't you? Part of the impetus for the measure came from former ABC journalist Jess Hill, who wrote a book about women under the control of violent partners. The fuck? So someone wrote a book with a bias, and a bias towards men hitting women. What about the book See What You Made Me Do from the other perspective? What about when women do things to men and say it's your fault? I'm going to divorce you, and I'm going to take the children and the house if you don't fucking behave yourself. Mrs. Hill can go and fuck herself. The number of murders by an intimate partner have ranged between 49 and 64 each year for this decade. Yes, some of those are mothers killing their daughters. Some of those are lesbians killing one another. And some of those are men killing women. And some of those, which you're not going to fucking mention, because it is not a massive difference in the number of people killed, are women killing men. That's right, men being killed by women. I could lead you, I don't have it up, I'm sorry, to the figures by Domestic Violence Australia, Advocacy Australia. They do have a Facebook page, and I highly recommend them for having the most in-depth research into this topic. It doesn't have the feminist biases. They try hard to use feminist methodology for gathering information. So essentially looking at news sources and police sources. And, basically, women kill more children, and men get killed at a rate not too dissimilar from women. You don't get to fucking play this as a one-sided game. I guess you do, but you shouldn't be fucking allowed to. Orwellian liberals, I don't care. I'm not playing this fucking politics game, because the liberals are the ones who are considering this, instead of saying, show us the proof. Sickening shit. I live in this fucking state. I live in fucking New South Wales. This is going to be the case. The government is going to stick its nose into my relationship looking for my patterns of behaviour. And that's it. I've had enough. I'm going. I do not want to do this anymore. I've had enough of this. I'm out of here. I've been the anti-theocrat. May your gods remain fictional. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, have fun.